In 1967, Jim Clark put his Lotus Ford on the pole for the Belgian Grand Prix. But it was Dan Gurdy and his Eagle that took the checkered flag. Today, some 50 years later in the virtual universe, the sweet smell of chocolate entwines with the aroma of engine exhaust once again as the Lotus 49 World Cup visits Spa for the second round of the 2018 winter season. Hello and welcome to another Global Sim Racing Channel broadcast way up in the press box to bring you our bird's eye view of all the simulated Grand Prix action from green flag to victory donuts. It's yours truly, Bill Soupson, joined by the fan belt, Johan van de Belt. Sliding into the director's chair for today's broadcast is the hardest working man in sim race broadcasting, Joe Peak, armed with cameras located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by GSRC's camera guru, Dougie Beard. As cyberspace flows into your place over these next few streamy award-worthy minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to fully appreciate the 14 laps of simulated historic open-wheel racing that will immediately follow. Now, Johan, the intro touched on the fact that the Lotus 49 actually raced here at Spa, but in '67, the track was a little different than what the drivers will be racing on today.
Yeah, exactly, Bill. Some of the viewers might have seen videos or even have driven the old version of Spa in race sims, but it was truly an epic track when it was designed almost 100 years ago in 1920. Now, ex-Lotus 49 driver Jackie Oliver once even said about the track, if you went off the road, you didn't know what you were gonna hit. And he was right, as drivers in that time passed trees, electric poles, fields, cows, barnyards, and some straw bales for quote-unquote safety. Now, this famous track was originally shaped like a triangle, and it was also a street circuit. Drivers used public roads and visited several small cities in the area, like Malmedy, Stavelo, after which some of the current corners are named. The track had a nasty reputation for being very dangerous, and only in the 80s the track was shortened and made safer to roughly its current layout, going from 14 to 7 kilometers of asphalt, around 4.3 miles. Now, as being one of the crown jewels of Formula 1 and also as the home of the famous 24 Hours for Spa-Francorchamps, the track basically doesn't need any introduction. Race drivers and fans can close their eyes and imagine themselves plunging down from La Source, ride a roller coaster of Eau Rouge, feel the muscles burn in the neck because of the G-forces in Pouhon, and experience a race heartbeat through the breathtakingly Blanchiment. But not a lot of drivers have had this experience in the Lotus 49 we'll see on track today. So let's hop on board our open wheel machine as we'll take a stroll through the Ardennes forest in the race temple that we call Spa-Francorchamps.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Spa. Across the start-finish line, you're immediately faced with Eau Rouge. A fair bit of braking at the bottom will set you up to wind over Radillon. The car gets very light, and getting on the power is extremely difficult here. And since it takes you onto the Kimmel Straight, it's extra important to find traction as soon as it's available. Every tenth of a second sooner you can accelerate, the more top end you're going to find by the time you hit the braking zone for Lecumbe. And this chicane will be very popular for overtakes. The downside will be it's easy to come in way too hot, and it won't be uncommon to see drivers cut across the grass to Malmedy. That puts us at the highest point on the track, and so back downhill we go. Because the elevation drops so drastically, you'll brake early for this 180-degree bend. Understeer around here will be a frequent problem. Switch sides quickly because you've got to hit no-name corner. There is AstroTurf around the outside, but it doesn't quite offer as much grip and isn't ideal. You can see the valley with the start-finish line off in the distance, but before you know it, you're braking for Pouhon. I find snap oversteer is something that happens a lot on entry, but it's also difficult gauging how soon and how much you can get back on the power through this second apex. Lap time can be gained if you can unlock its secrets. It's kind of a short burst of fandies, which can be frustrating in the 49. It always feels like you're compromising one apex or the other and never truly nailing this right-left. Then there's Stavelo. Expect a lot of dirt and dust kicked up when drivers push it that little bit too hard and dip their wheels into the gravel on the left. On the second apex, you've got to really nail the launch off the bend. It doesn't help that the track gently curves while you're accelerating out of it, meaning you'll find yourself countersteering even in fourth gear. Now, while most cars are easily flat out through this left turn, in the Lotus you've got to lift just a little bit to make it through. Then stab the brakes and swing it into Blanchiment. Getting your right foot down quickly will be critical, but also get the car set up for the bus stop. Let it drift off to the left while you throw out the anchor and slow it down. This fiddly little chicane will produce a lot of missed apexes when drivers fly in way too hot. And it's going to be tough finding grip when you exit in the lower gears, meaning many might spin out as they get greedy. The final corner will be La Source and offers a last-ditch opportunity to overtake. Just be careful and watch out for the savvy drivers who can pull an over-under on you and snatch that place right back. What's great for viewers is that creates some thrilling finishes. But as we cross the line, we've now finished a lap around Spa.
Joe Peak doing what nobody does better, talking us around a racetrack. This time it's Spa. And now let's take a lap around the point standings. There is a new point system that we'll see later, but no matter the point system, Michel Dudignon is fast. Finland's Joni Kajanen, Kajanen looks to be the legitimate threat to win the crown here, as he was really quick last round. Defending and multi-time champion Mick the Quick Claridge did not have the season debut most fans expected, having to settle for third. Matt Wood is a known name to many, getting off to a good start, and no overlay would be complete without Norway's Ove Trengere. Let's go ahead and look at the new season championship that is the Formula 2 driver standing. Newcomer Raymond Smith sits at the top for Canada. Veteran American drivers Andrew Ng and Don Tell Me Something Good sit second and third. Italy's represented by Eugenio Massa. And France is not just Michel Dudignon. Nope, Nicolas Bonnier is here too. Now, Johan, we've talked about the Drivers' Championship, but what about the Constructors' Championship?
Yeah, also in the Constructor Championship, or the Nations Cup, France is leading because of Dudignon. Now, viewers, it is a little bit different than last season. Last season, every driver for a particular country scored points. Now it's only the top driver in a race. So Dudignon with his victory scored 40 points in front of Kajanen with 35 and Claridge with 30. Now there's no P4 driver because Matt Wood is also from the United Kingdom. So P4 is currently for Norway, with Trengere scoring 25 points so far, and the United States rounding out the top 5.
Okay, we've gone over all the championships. We talked about the track. How about the nuts and bolts of today's race?
Yeah, today we are visiting round 2 of the Lotus 49 series. 2 out of 12, no drop races this season, so every result matters and consistency really will be the factor for the championship. We will lap Spa-Francorchamps 14 times today in open setups, so drivers can tweak and twist all the nuts and bolts in their car to their liking. And as you can see on the bottom of the screen, the scoring system is quite a bit different, like Bill mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast. 40 points now for the victor, 35 for P2 and 30 for P3.
Yeah, the series continues to change. When it originally started, it only paid down to 6, and they opened it up a bit more. And now they're trying something new with a little bit more of a modern scoring system. Let's go ahead. Now we have time. We can actually check in on some of the drivers that are out there qualifying. No surprise to see the Frenchman up at the top, but look who sits in second. It is the American Billy Bob Wright.
And Billy Bob has shown a really good lap so far, 18.5, but he's being pushed as we speak from the P2 spot by Mick Claridge and Dave Price as well. Dave Price currently in P3. Mick Claridge netting his lap 3/10 around Michel Dudignon.
There's Eugenio Massa on screen right now, competing in the Formula 2 Championship. Don't think he's going to be able to get this lap in. 16 drivers have put in qualifying laps so far, 20 drivers on the entry list. Let's run down your starting order right now. The front row is Michel Dudignon and Mick the Quick Claridge. No surprise, sees those two up front. Dave Price and Billy Bob Wright in the second row. Positions 5 and 6 are Tommy Unhola and Michael Thomas. The next row is Benjamin Zocco, flanked by Michael Morrison. Row 5 is Richard Morin and Raymond Smith.
Yeah, in P11 is Andrew Ng, the American, next to Neil Kemp, rounding out row 6. Peter Hebron starts the race in 13th, next to Eugenio Massa. Don Good starts 15th, in front of Barry West in 16th. And then we see 4 drivers who were unlucky and didn't achieve a qualifying time this qualifying session. Matt J. Wood starts 17th, in front of Paul Foster, Gary Anderson, and Jason Kerr.
And a big name, conspicuous by its absence, is Joni Kajanen, who's not here today after coming home second in the season opener with no drop races and a point system now that allows so many points, 40, 35, 30. If you're on the podium missing a race, it's going to be hard to come back from that. But Who is here is the winner of the opener, and that is the Frenchman, Michel Dudignon. Right next to him, Mick Claridge. Those two are considered to be the top runners and will be battling for the championship. Okay, it's round 2, season 2018, the second round of the winter season, and we're ready to go. 14 laps of racing. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. Gather at the chicken steak, cover me on the cows because the horses are out of the barn. And look at the run that Mick Claridge gets down into one, but it's not going to happen as the Frenchman's going to lead the stampede through the corner.
Yeah, but Mick Claridge is getting a good run out of Radillon, and he's currently side by side battling for the lead with Michel Dudillon. Right behind him, Dave Price wants a piece of the pie as well as Billy Bob. They're almost making it 3 wide going to Lescombe.
Price says, I don't want any part of this, and he backs out, now tries the over-under on Wright. Wright picks up 3rd position. A big accident behind that took out a lot of the drivers. We'll come back and get to that one in a minute after things settle down up front. And what's going on up front right now? Well, it is Claridge out in front. Dudignon in 2nd, Wright and Price.
Dudillon putting huge pressure as we speak on Mick Claridge. And Billy Bob actually being able to follow them. Really good start for Billy Bob in P3 so far.
Hanging on to the top 4. Michael Thomas. Tommy Unhola is in there as well. The train goes all the way back through Zoko, Morrison, and Morin as your top 9 try to stay together. They work their way now up into corner 13. These pair of right-handers. And we'll see a passing opportunity now as they'll be on the throttle. But this is a little trickier for a lot of cars. This is wide open here, but I think probably in these 49s, this might be a little bit of a lift through here.
Almost drifting around the corner there, Michel Dudillon, and that actually makes sure that he gets a lot of speed. Is he able? He's not able to put it side by side in the bus stop.
Claridge is first in there. Look at the run. Actually, he got in there a little bit too fast, and Dudignon has to check up a bit. He managed through the bus stop faster than he could. Now, get ready for this, because this is not where the start-finish line is. You may think a lot of times it's before La Source. Nope, not at this layout. It's around here, and then all the way down before you get to the finish line, which is right. It's coming, it's right there. So give lap number 1. Let's put Mick Claridge in front. Riding on board with Dudignon right now, looking up at the leader. Now go ahead, Johan.
I wanted to say he's close. Dudillon has shown really good pace in practice so far. He was, of course, quickest in qualifying, and also in practice he seemed to edge out Mick Claridge a bit, especially consistency-wise. As Michael Thomas behind him has a big moment coming out of Lecombe. Keeps the car on track though, but loses a little bit of time. Dudillon really quick so far, being really promising. So I imagine, Bill, that he will be able to fight for that victory position against Mick Claridge. He's not letting him go away.
The big accident that happened at the top was Raymond Smith got kind of loose and got in it with Neil Smith. They go up into the wall and they collect some more drivers. And they started bouncing down the track. There it is. That happened back in about 15th position or so. So we lost a handful of cars. Smith and Kemp out for sure.
Yeah, and through Stavelo, Dudillon is really in the gearbox of Claridge again. And you mentioned it before, Bill, they really have to lift through Blanchimont here. They cannot go full throttle like they might be used to in other cars. But it's not holding Dudillon back. He's creeping ever so closer to him. I don't think it's close enough yet to try and move in the bus stop.
Plenty of racing yet to go as they feel each other out. Oh, perfect driver, that's off.
Billy Bob went wide under braking. He lost control of the car. Good move though to really recover quite quickly, only losing 1 position to Dave Price, immediately being under pressure by Michael Thomas. Shame from Billy Bob, who was doing a really good race so far, only 1 second behind the leaders last time around. Using time.
He's a veteran of this series, and we'll take a look at this one. This maybe just got in there a little hot. Let's see. Car just wouldn't turn for him, got a little squirrely under braking.
And he's immediately under huge pressure. Let's see, there was a Tommy Mikael Unhola had a great run through Eau Rouge, put him past Billy Bob.
Yep.
So because of that little mistake that he made, he didn't lose a lot of time, it seems like, but he already lost 2 positions because of it.
Now, you look at Tommy Unhola. He missed the opening round. He is up here in 4th, scoring some big points. If I remember right, I think Tommy is classified down as a Tier 2 driver. So this is going to be big points for him, as he is ahead of Billy Bob Wright, Michael Thomas, Benjamin Zocco, and then back there in 8th, look it up, Michael Morrison.
Especially, yeah, Billy Bob under attack again, this time by Michael Thomas. Trying to pull home, getting really loose there. He saves it though. He might have a corner cut penalty because he went really over the grass. Billy Bob stays in P4, however. Michael Thomas immediately under heavy pressure of Benjamin Zocco. Benjamin Zocco is way tighter there.
Thomas lost that position, but did a great job. Boy, the car is he's really struggling under Thomas. That car is really loose. Zocco trying to find his way around Michael Morrison now, right back up in the mix. All this going on behind the leaders. It's still racing the same order. Claridge and Dudignon. They'd open up 3.3 seconds. There is nothing going on. It's just the Frenchman chasing the Brit right now, as we can stay on this battle for 6th.
Oh, several drivers going wide there through Blanchimont. Getting a little off track, but it really adds everybody close together. I think it's 4 or 5 drivers under a blanket as we speak, until Michael Morrison a little bit further behind him as well.
You can see the last 2 cars at the top of your screen. That is past Morrison. That is Matt Wood and Richard Morin.
And Matt Wood, of course, was one of the 4 drivers who didn't mention a qualifying time. Started in P17, currently worked his way up to P9. So a really good recovery race from Matt so far.
Looking at Matt Wood right there. The leaders now heading down into Lacombe. Again, it is this Claridge being stalked by Dudignon, the Frenchman, doing nothing, just happy to race behind him right now as they continue to gap the field 4 seconds. There you see the 2.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what is going through Michel's mind right now, because he has been quick so far this weekend. This practice session, also practice sessions before the race, and it might be that he's just happy to let Mick run in P1 for the time being, just lap away from Dave Price in P3 and make sure that they gap the field as much as possible before he starts making his move for P1. But he surely is able to stay close to the leader as we speak. Another moment down the field for Billy Bob Wright, who's immediately under pressure by Michael Thomas through Pouhon. That's another place where you can make an overtake very easily. So Billy Bob manages to defend that position, but they lose a little bit of time to Tommy Mikael Unhola, who's himself putting the pressure on Dave Price for P3. Really good race so far from Tommy Mikael Unhola.
Yeah, as we look at Billy Bob, we're going to get a replay. Right on board with Wright. He was up in 3rd, remember? Then he had that problem going into the bus stop, and then it's been all downhill from here. Oh my goodness, Billy. Going all over the track as he's in 5th right now, being challenged by Michael Thomas. Back live.
And behind them, another battle that has made its way outside of the view of the cameras is Benjamin Zocco and Michael Morrison. They swap positions this lap, so Michael Morrison is currently in 7th position. Let's see if Michael can find his way to the other Michael in front of him in P6.
So They'll go down into La Source. This is the final corner of the lap. The third car in line, that is Matt Wood.
Cue the Jaws music, because Matt is really making moves as we speak.
Let's go ahead and, yeah, let's stay on this battle as they head down to La Source. We'll see if there's a pass. Johan, look at the run that Morrison has here.
Yeah, a little wiggle was there on top of Radion, and that bunched everybody up way more. Benjamin Soko trying it on the inside in Lacuna. He has it. He surely has to have it, but Michael Morrison not giving up the position, going side by side through that corner. That will lose them a lot of time to the people behind. Matt Wood is thinking, I want to best both of you here. Still side by side.
Soko on the inside. Morrison out there in that kind of lavender-colored machine.
Yeah, Michael Morrison wanted to steer in there, but he didn't anticipate Benjamin Soko to be a little bit slower through that corner. So he had to take evading maneuvers, and that lost him a little bit of time and also a position. Matt Wood really being on the gearbox now.
So Matt Wood now trying to get around Soko. This battle continues. Best battle on the track right now for 7th.
Oh, Matt Wood again! It's the second driver who had to like bunch himself up, step on the brakes to avoid another driver.
Had too much speed actually. Almost got into the gearbox of Soko.
Oh no! Oh, several cars hitting each other. I think it's Tommy Unhola who was battling hard with Billy Bob through that chicane. And there's netcode. It seems like netcode on my screen. And as we're going into the replay as we speak.
Well, they got really close. That was Unhola got together with Wright, and they spin off. The guy who got away from it was Michael Thomas. He probably had the best view of it as we look from above.
Yeah, they just slightly hit each other on the rear wheels, and they send them both around. Heartbreak for both of them, because they were having such good races so far.
Absolutely. So Billy Bob Wright continues to drop. Well, the bleeding will stop now because he's dry. He's out of blood as his race is over. Let's check back in on the leader. Is it time for... Oh, Billy Bob's still racing. Let's go up front. Here comes the pass for the lead. The number 1 car of Michel Dudignon. Michel, they are... Boy, look at Claridge weaving back and forth, trying to get as much of the road in the middle as he can. They head down into Lacombe. On the outside, Dudignon able to get the pass made. Claridge fighting back, Johan.
Power move there from on the outside of Lacombe by Dudignon. Really good, but he's not able to carry the momentum going forward. Mick Claridge is still on the inside in this corner though. Way tighter than Mick Claridge is. They almost touch each other. Because Dudignon a lot of times loose going on the exit of the corner. And Mick Claridge actually passes him back again for the lead.
Michel Dudignon doing a great job of muscling that car around. So try as he might, the Frenchman could not get the pass made. He led for a while, but when it was all said and done, it was Mick Claridge back out in front again. Almost 5 seconds back to the next driver. Go ahead, Johan.
Sorry, really wide Michel Dudignon went there. I don't know if you saw it on
the yeah.
He almost lost his car. Great move to keep it in a straight line though, but that lost him a few tenths, currently half a second behind his rival. But as we have seen so far this race, Michel Dudignon, it doesn't matter if he's half a second or 1 second behind his rival, he will close that gap and he will put the battle again to Mick Claridge.
That's one of the beauties of watching drivers race this Lotus 49. It is a handful, and you can see them muscle these open-wheeled cars around like nothing you would see today.
Behind them, Matt Wood is going to make a move, I think, on Benjamin Soko. He had a great run out of Staffelo for P5. But he has to brake a little bit earlier as Benjamin Soko went over back to the racing line. Going through Blanchimont now, he doesn't have the momentum that he had before. Michael Morrison seems to have a little bit of momentum. No, he doesn't. Not enough momentum at least to try and move for P6 in the bus stop.
And the reports of Billy Bob's Wright deaths were a little premature, as he is still racing back there in 8th as he gets almost into it with Morrison. And now going a little bit off behind him is Tommy Unhola, who's also still racing.
Yeah, they were under a blanket and they're not anymore. I have to say I'm quite amazed by Billy Bob and Tommy and Hola still being able to have such speed in the race after that contact. I thought they would probably have a little bit of damage and they would do in their races, but they're still able to battle themselves forward. Billy Bob currently in P7, Tommy in P9.
Let's move up to 5th because here comes a pass. He got a little bit of a run. This is Matt Wood, the defensive line now from Zoko. Wood with the momentum. He pulls up on the outside. Now he has a half car length lead, but unfortunately he's on the wrong side of the track. They go too wide, but now it swings back, and this is going to give the position to Wood. Zoko gets loose, and he loses another spot to Billy Bob Wright.
Really good move of Wood there. He gave Zoko enough space to make that pass, but also not enough space to get a clean exit, and he lost 2 positions because of that. Going up front, Dudion and Mick Claridge are currently side by side going through Pohon. That's not a place where he overtakes. Dudion giving it all to try overtake there on the outside, and it gives him the inside on the next corner. Side by side going through the chicane and lose again on the exit. He saves it though.
Oh, this is fun to watch. That is Michel Dudignan putting the car all sorts of different directions. Cannot make the pass. Claridge stays up in front. Johan, right on board. Let's watch his hands.
I wanted to say the same. Look at those hand movements. They go left, right, they go left, right. Amazing car control for Dudignan there.
Gosh. So
I think 99% of the iRacers there would have lost that car, but Dudignan kept it in one straight place. Really, really good car control, I think.
Yeah, only somebody who has been in this car really understands the miracle work that these guys are doing up here. This car is a handful, and they keep it going straight. They complete lap number 7. We've reached the halfway mark.
Going through the bus stop, Tommy and Hola is not having enough of P9. He wants P8. Putting the threat on Michael Morris and going to La Source hairpin. He brakes a little bit earlier. And he is able to take the apex. Now Michael Morrison probably has a better exit. No, he doesn't have a better exit. He gets a little bit loose going over the curb stones. Tommy and Hola making the move in La Source and finish it before Rouge. Well done.
So Hola out in front of Morrison. They trail Benjamin Soko, who races in 7th by about a second.
But Morrison is not, he's going back on Campbell Straight, it seems like. He's having a little bit more momentum. He's not close enough to try a move in Lacombe though. Staying behind for now.
Richard Morin races in 10th position. Let's go ahead and talk about this battle that's a little farther back. This is Peter Hebron racing in 12th, being chased by Eugenio Massa. And Don, tell me something good. These guys all racing for points in the Formula 2 Championship.
Yeah, they're having a great battle with the 3 of them. Really under a blanket again. Not as close as we've seen the top driver so far, but having a good scrap on their own.
Boy, we really need triple screens to give you the whole story of what's going on. There's racing everywhere as we watch these guys. Up front is still 1 and 2, Claridge and Dudignan. Nothing going on there. We can stay on this for a little bit longer. And that doesn't even mention, Johan, all the excitement we've seen back there from Wood and Wright and Zoko and Hola Morrison, all putting on a show.
Especially these drivers have put an amazing show so far in the Belgian Ardennes Forest. A little bit closer, is a little bit forward. Richard Morin is putting the pressure on P9, Michael Morrison. Now, as we speak, commentators curse he's got a little bit loose through Staffelo, so he loses the momentum. Richard Morin seems a little bit quicker than Michael. Really vouching for P9. And Michael Morrison, who was overtaken last lap around by Tommy Unhola, he has lost position to him though.
Yeah,
around 1 second behind him now.
The middle has straddled down a little bit. In 5th, it's Wood, Billy Bob Wright, Zoko, Unhola, Morrison, and Morin. Round out the back half of your top 10. They settle down a little bit. Let's go back up front.
Oh, Dudignan has a great run there through Radion. Way quicker than McLaren. McLaren chooses to defend the inside. And it will probably mean that Michel Dudignan will brake a little bit later going into Lacombe. They're not wheel banking, but they're getting quite close.
The problem with the defensive line is their side-by-sides are here, but then it swings back through Malmedy. It'll go back to the Frenchman, but again, Dudignon, he actually might have made a little contact that time with Claridge, and he has to try one more time later.
I know the nickname of Mick is the Quick, but we maybe should call him the Bulldog, because he's not letting go here.
Yeah, he's actually lost the lead. Dudignon's been in front, but he will not give it up. I want to take this opportunity to go to 11th real quick. We've talked about almost the entire field. We didn't give a lot of love to Paul Foster. Racing all by himself in 11th. 7 seconds behind Morin in 10th. About 10 seconds ahead of Hebron in 12th. Paul Foster, we see you.
To P7, Onhola is trying a move on Benjamin Soko. He tried it going on the inside of Pouhon. He didn't brake late enough to put it side by side there, but he's really having some speed there. On the exit of Pouhon is again having more momentum than his Australian rival, but not enough to pass him so far.
Try as they might to run in order, they just can't in the middle of the track. It's that battle. Onhola there with Morrison.
If we go back to the lead, Dudignon is putting heavy pressure again on Claridge, and maybe next time around we can try to catch these drivers when they are going through Blanchimont, because Dudignon has an extremely interesting line compared to Mick Claridge. Mick Claridge brakes and has a really clean line, it seems for me at least, where he touches the apex and he runs out. Now Dudignon is not trying that. Dudignon is almost drifting through Blanchimont, and he's taking so much more speed by doing that. It's a really interesting difference between racing lines from the two leaders at the moment. It surely is giving Dudignon some space.
We can stay on it right now, although Claridge gets a great run out of Lesource and now opens up for probably his biggest lead of the race.
Actually 4 or 5 tenths between the pair now. But it seems that
here he comes.
Dudignon seems quicker through Radillon than Claridge. Gets a good run on Camel Straight. A lot more momentum. Is this enough to try a pass? He's certainly going for the outside while Claridge defends the inside. Puts it side by side, but not enough to pass him.
Yeah, we've seen this before, but he was a little farther back that time. Didn't quite get up alongside through Lacombe. Now he'll follow him all the way around.
Behind him in P7, Onhola's trying it again on Soko. Onhola on the outside, Soko on the inside. And the red and yellow machine has to brake a little bit earlier than Soko. So one of the things that I'm noticing, it seems like Soko is a little bit slower than Onhola, but Soko is better under braking, and that means that Onhola is not able to pass his rival so far.
That battle continues between Zoko and Onhola for 7th position. Morrison still watching in 9th. Onhola had trouble earlier with Billy Bob Wright. Wright is safely up in 6th position. Go ahead, Johan.
There, Soko gets a little bit wide through Pouhon, and he gets a move on the inside on Onhola. This is probably it. This is the best move. He's completely in front of him now. If he can take a little bit more momentum through the chicane, he does so. He can cover the racing line, the apex now. Tommy Onhola back into P7. Now behind them, this is really good news for Michael Morrison, who has closed the gap completely to Benjamin Soko.
Yep, those two drivers were pulling away. That's not the case now, as Morrison in 9th, still eyeing those spots. Let's, as we ride on board, and we'll go on board with the roadkill cam here from Morrison. That shows you really how fast these cars are going. Even though they're 50 years old, they could still get some pretty good speed.
Yeah, and for viewers who haven't driven this car, it's amazing that these drivers can get so much speed out of it, because these cars have no downforce. So the amount of gripping that you have in the corners is terrifying. So the fact that they can drive this fast in the race, oh, impressive. Hats off to them. While we go to the lead, Dudignon is putting a move again on Mick Claridge, again in Lacombe. Oh, he tries outside, goes for the inside. He's loose! No, he hits!
But they both keep going. I think they're going to be okay.
Mick Claridge
will get a slowdown penalty.
Yes, but I wanted to say the same thing, Bill. Dudignon holds back though.
Sportsmanship.
Yeah, really good driving there. Really good sportsmanship for Dude de Jong. He holds a little bit back so Mick can clear his penalty and stay in the lead. Now I'm curious that they hit each other. Do they have damage though? I surely hope not. It seems like both can continue driving while Claridge goes a little bit wide on no-name corner. We seem to have lost Billy Bob.
Oh, Billy Bob Wright is out of the race.
Now, I think he might have crossed the incident limit. He was going through Eau Rouge, over Radion, and he suddenly disappeared. So I think that's...
Well, that makes sense with all the incidents that he had. Of course, we saw the documented. When you make contact, those 4 right there. Billy Bob was having a race up and down, and is going to come right up here. As you see him, he's going to push the boundaries of the track. iRacing says that's enough of that.
I feel for him though. He was having such a good run today, being in P3 for a while.
It is.
Bloop.
Let's go back to the lead real quick here as they're working through the bus stop. This will be fun. You know what was interesting? We didn't really have a chance to talk about the contact between Claridge and Dude de Jong. Dude de Jong finally got tired, Johan, of taking that outside line down into Lacombe. He said, I'm going inside you. The car got loose, and then they made contact, and it pushed Claridge off the track. Claridge was really the guy who suffered from that one, but the sportsmanship between these two guys, Dude de Jong said, I'm not going to steal the position from you. I'll sit back here. And Johan, both cars look pretty healthy.
Yeah, luckily, both cars look really healthy so far. What you say, Bill, it's a shame almost that the move failed, because he tried the dummy on the outside and then just moved to the inside in the last moment. And you can see Mick, he knows now what's going to happen. He covers the inside really well. Dude de Jong has no choice to be on the outside. Gets a better line here. It gets a little bit loose, otherwise he could have tried it on the inside in the next corner. Mick Claridge stays in front.
Johan, I got the feeling that Dude de Jong's car is faster. If he could get around Claridge, he'd have his way. But there's really, though, seems like the only place that Dude de Jong, at least, is really strong, is like you said, is through Eau Rouge, and he gets that run down into Lacombe. But every time he's tried it, we only have 3 laps to go. He's tried it probably every one of the last 10 laps.
At the beginning of the race, I mentioned like maybe Michel Dude de Jong is thinking like, I'll just stay behind Mick for a little bit. Hey, let's create a gap to P3. Let's just quiet down, make sure we don't score incident points. But as you say, we have only 3 laps to go. This is the time to put the hammer down, and track position is key. He really is putting everything he has to make sure that he goes by Mick Claridge. He's having a good run. He's very close at Stavelot to Mick Claridge. If he can get a good run here, he might be able to try it in bus stop. Mick Claridge seems a little bit quicker, however.
Yeah, absolutely he does. And this is a typical passing zone down into the chicane here, 17 and 18. But for Dude de Jong, he really hasn't done much here. He's got to run this time. Look at, again, the defensive line from Claridge. Nope.
Now Mick knows how the bread is buttered, and he keeps covering that inside. Now they both go loose on the entrance of the bus stop. But Michel is not able to profit from that going out of the corner. And let's follow him through La Source, because this might be the place where he really makes a difference. If he gets a good run, it seems like he has a good run.
Yeah. This is closer than he's been in a long time. Now this is where his strength comes in. Be it his car just works better through this corner or he gets a tow. He's much closer than he has been in the past.
And he has the momentum now as well. Mick Claridge is not as quick as we speak. 5-6 kilometers an hour difference. Yep. Again defending the inside. Will it be enough? He's in front though with braking. But again Mick Claridge is just cleaner on the apex. Oh, they almost hit each other there.
Once again, Dude de Jong got a nose in front. Claridge covering the inside like wall-to-wall carpet. Will not let Dude de Jong get underneath him. With apologies to the rest of the field, this is just too good to get away from. We are working with 2 laps to go. They'll get the white flag this time around. Johan, there's not enough time out of La Source before the start finish. Oh my goodness, again, Dudignon just wrestling that car. Not enough time out of La Source to get a pass made before the start finish line. So maybe his 2 shots are down into the chicane, into the bus stop, and then of course the one we've seen almost every lap down into corner 4.
I think so as well, Bill. And as you say, he has been so quick in out of La Source going through Eau Rouge and Radillon that he kind of has only one more try to really make that pass. If he is able to try it in the bus stop now, yeah, he gets closer and closer. But now they have to brake for Blanchimont. Now he's putting the tires on the grass. He's really close though.
Now, if he can stay side by side through here, he can get a run out of the chicane.
Mick Claris goes a little bit too hot in the corner, though. They hit each other as Mick Claris parks his car on the apex, and he's not able to pass him.
Dudignon had the momentum, but he just didn't have anywhere to go. It was a block by Claridge. Not an illegal block. I mean, the car just was there. Now through La Source. Now, this is going to be Dudignon's last bite of the apple, his favorite passing zone, but this time he's a lot farther back. He lost a lot of momentum out of the chicane.
Especially that block might have been the victory for Mick Claridge there, because Michael Dudignon is 6/10 behind his rival going over the start-finish straight. Now the last laps it was only 2/10, and as you can see, he is making up time. He's making up position going through Radillon. Mick Claridge is not even defending the inside anymore. He has so much track on his rival.
Yeah, Dudignon's favorite passing spot did not have an opportunity, so now he'll just have to stay close through this technical section. And he's made runs at the bus stop. He'll have to really dive it in there.
Now we don't have to go through it, but Michael Morrison has just passed Benjamin Soko for P7 on Camel Straight. Good move. Very clean, but we stay with the leaders as Michael Dudignon is closing the gap. Down to 4/10 now, but...
What we'll do when these cars come across the line, we'll cover the leaders and we'll jump back to follow up, put the final chapter in on those battles we've been watching the entire race. But right now, we'll stay on this one. He's close, Johan.
Yeah, now it's important to think about what is Dudignon gonna do, because with the championship in mind, he is leading. A P2 will make sure that he's still in the lead, but the gap will close to 5 points if Mick wins and Michel is second. And will Michel try a do-or-die move going into the bus stop? Because a victory will increase his lead to 15 points if I'm correct. That will be a huge blow to his to the title chances of Mick Claridge. Oh, he gets loose, touching the crest at Blanchimont. Now that might have sealed the deal. Yeah,
he had to be faster there, though. He had to work it. Now into the chicane. They go right. They go left. Unless he dive bombs into La Source, I think that Mick the Click is going to come away with a win. One more corner to go. What a great battle these guys have put on. Dudignon doing the best he can, but he'll have no drive off the corner. Give round number 2 of the Lotus 49 World Cup to Mick Claridge. Dudignon gets second. Price is going to be comfortable in third. Let's see where the battle is on the track for the guys that are farther back.
One driver who suddenly disappeared, Michael Thomas. He started the last lap in P5. He disappeared. I think he ran out of incidents.
Yep. Let's go to 6th. This is a good battle. We're looking at Morrison and Zoko. Morrison is going to get the nod. He's going to come home in what will be, when I think it's all settled down, 6th position. Zoko will have to settle for 7th.
Oh no, Peter Hebron. We looked at his battle a little while ago in the race. He outbraked himself going into the bus stop, losing 1-2 positions.
That was great pressure put on by Eugenio Massa. Massa will actually now get credited with what I think will be 11th position. Let's get the official. He gets 10th.
Yeah, because Michael Thomas also falls a little bit further down the field. Dom Good was the other driver who profited from that mistake. Shame for Peter Hebron. He was having a good race so far, from P13 to what would have been P10.
So with Thomas having the incident cap problem and Hebron making the mistake, that's 2 more positions for Eugenio Massa and Don Good as they come home 10th and 11th. All the cars now wrapping up their final lap. The racing is over here at Spa, but our broadcast is far from done. What we're going to do right now on the Global Sim Racing channel is take a short break, but don't go far. We'll be back to run down the entire finishing order of what a race! Round number 2 here at Spa. We'll talk to some of the drivers, then we'll put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel's coverage of the Lotus 49 World Cup. Round number 2 from Spa here in the 2018 winter schedule. Let's run down the finishing order. He started in the 2nd position. He got to the lead right away, and he held it. And we're talking about Mick Claridge. Michel Dudignon, try as he might, lap after lap, he get his nose in front, but Claridge would not let him keep the lead, and Michel Dudignon has to settle for 2nd, but we still see that the Frenchman will be leading in the points come round 3. Dave Price almost had the lead in lap 1 as well, in a crazy battle early on. He has to settle for the final podium spot. How about this drive? Matt Wood didn't get a lot of love for much on screen. 17th to 4th. A great run for Wood as he comes home just ahead of Tommy Unhola in 5th position. The back half of your top 10, Michael Morrison and Benjamin Zocco, they battled the whole race. Watching most of it was Richard Morin. Paul Foster, we gave him a little love. He really didn't have a battle for much of the race. He comes home in 9th. And Eugenio Massa, after making a little contact with Billy Bob Wright, rounds out the top 10. Johan?
And P11, Don Good. He profited from the mistake of Peter Hebron in P12 to gain two more positions in the last lap. Both finishing in front of Barry West, who finished the race in 13th. Andrew Eng finished the race in P14 in front of Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson, one of the drivers that, funnily enough, didn't score a single incident point in this race. Well done of Gary, especially on this track with this car. That's a very, very hard feat to achieve. Michael Thomas was one of the people that scored probably a little bit too many incident points, retiring because of that just at the end of the race in front of Billy Bob Wright. Jason Kerr, Raymond Smith and Neil Kemp are 18th, 19th and 20th, and all 3 of them had some trouble in the race.
Okay, there's your tire field of 20. Let's go ahead and see if we can talk to some of the drivers. I'm lucky enough to have ran down our race winner, and that is Mick Claridge. Mick, here's my take. It was a good thing you got the lead on lap 1 going into the Lacombe for the first time, because Dudignon was fast.
Oh, can you hear me, guys?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, what year is it? Is this planet Earth still? Oh man, yeah, you got it spot on there. Yeah, if I hadn't got the lead, he would have been gone, and that would have been the race over. But he told me afterwards he made we didn't make a mistake on his setup. He just had a bad setup, so he couldn't. I mean, I could see it in the mirror. He was having real trouble in some corners getting on the power, you know. So I just said to him then, I could see that in the mirror, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to put up a fight then, because, you know, I mean, Michel's stupid fast at this track. He would have been a good half, 3/4 of a second a lap away from me if he'd have got in front. No trouble.
Our director, Joe Peak, made a good point during the break, because he's watched a lot of these races. It really was role reversal between the two cars. Usually we're used to seeing you muscle the car. You could tell that Michel was not happy, as his car was all over the place.
Yeah, and a couple of times I dead mic'd him, you know, because, I mean, you know yourself, we've been racing for years, you know, me and Michel, and, yeah. And every time he loses the back end like that, you know, he used to do that a lot. He used to do that a hell of a lot. A good couple of years ago, he was worse than Hoover. And, yeah, he cleaned it up, you know, but every now and again he does lose it like that, you know. It makes me smile, so I give him a dead mic, you know.
Yeah, and let's talk about the incident, which, first of all, I love the sportsmanship between you two guys, but he tried on the outside. It wasn't going to work. Finally, he says, I'm going to go underneath you. And then the car got loose. You made contact. Boy, it was exciting.
Yeah, did he go on the grass there on the inside? I didn't even see.
I don't think so. But I know that the next time around, you refused to leave that line open. You were about as close to the inside as you could get.
I know, that actually made me laugh, because I blocked that inside the next lap and I went on the grass just blocking it, you know, and he wasn't even trying to get out the inside in that lap. But yeah, fair play to him. I didn't even think we touched in the race. I mean, he apologised afterwards, but, you know, I said I don't even think we touched. But yeah, I had a slow down, so he waited for me and all the rest of it. But he you know, the thing with Michel is he's up for a battle, you know, he always is, you know, and he'd rather have a battle, you know, So I mean, he knew he was faster than me today, and so will everyone else when they watched the broadcast. You know,
it was Spa put on a great show, because it wasn't just you and Michel battling. It was great racing all the way through the field, all the way back to like 13th. Great track, great cars. You guys did a good job. Congratulations on the win as you get a little closer to the top of the point standings.
Yeah, thanks, man. And, yeah, it's great to see the 79 guys coming over now as well. Saw some of the fast guys in practice as well, so maybe they'll show up next week, maybe, if they can put enough time in the car. But yeah, great to see him here.
Yeah, nice 20-car field today. Mick Claridge, your winner. All right, let's see. We'll go to Johan. Johan, you have someone you'd like to talk to?
Yeah, I caught up today with Dave Price, our P3 finisher here at Spa-Francorchamps. Now, Dave, you had a really good qualifying and you had a really good run going lap 1 towards Lacombe. Tell us a little bit about that opening lap, because it sure looked hectic out there.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I was a bit undecided as to what to do. I didn't really want to take it 3 wide. I did have a bit of a run. I think Michel got a bit crossed up coming off top of Radion, and then Mick got alongside him, and then there was a gap, and I kind of thought about it, and I thought, that one, maybe not. And then I pulled in behind Mick, and then Billy Bob comes steaming up the inside and made a nice job of sliding in front. But yeah, it was a pretty hairy start.
Yeah, especially when you settled down in P4, you finished in P3 in the end. Tell us a little bit about your race, because for us, it seemed like you were driving a little bit in no man's land. Did you feel like that as well, or were you just focused on keeping this car on track as much as you could?
Yeah, it was a bit like a test session, actually, after, I don't know what lap it was. Billy Bob had an issue coming into the bus stop, and at the time I had Tommy behind me, but then he sort of dropped away. I'm not sure what happened. And then I was sort of on my own for a while, but I think it was Michael Thomas was about 2 or 3 seconds behind me, and so I was just really trying to keep it nice and tidy, maintain the gap, and then he dropped away. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, it seemed like he had some trouble at one point, had a little contact with some other drivers. We visited Spa today. Now, that's a really long track, long straights. Next week, we're having a completely different track, Mid-Ohio. Will you be there next week? And if so, how do you rate your chances there? Is that a track that you like?
Actually, I won't be. I don't actually have that track, and I'm not around next weekend because of the Easter stuff, so I'll miss that one, unfortunately. But I'm sure the rest of the guys will give you another great race.
That's a shame to hear. Well, it was at least very good to see you around here. Have a good Easter, and we hope to see you back on track soon, Dave.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys.
It was Dave Price finishing in P3 today at Spa-Francorchamps. Now, Bill, I heard that you caught up with someone new.
I do. I have the honor of talking to Tommy Unhola. He missed, I believe, the season opener. This is his season 2 debut. Tommy, 5th place. You got to be happy with that one.
Yeah, no. Well, to be honest, I'm not. It should have been better. I'm a bit tired and so on. So I had paid for a podium, but it was not bad race. I had fun, so it was not bad in the end.
Actually, after the contact that you had with Billy Bob Wright, I have my clipboard here. I just put a line through you, scratched you off. I said, that's the end of Tommy. Look back, you were fighting back.
Yeah, car was not too bad, not too much damage, and there was a problem, sorry to everyone, when I backed off from wall, it didn't come off from reverse, and as I put it in first gear, slammed throttle again to spin it, so I backed off to track and was halfway there. Really good job from guys to avoid me, but sorry from that.
Now,
after that, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, car was good to drive after that, and I'm not sure if I got damage from it. Maybe a little bit to left side, but it was good on most corners, so we'll fight it back pretty well.
We saw most of the passing being done down into corner number 4, Lacombe's. Was that your spot as well? Were you able to make any other places where you could get a pass done? Did you do much into the chicane, the bus stop at the end?
I tried in bus stop maybe once, and there was one moment I could have taken Ben in Bullhorn, but I know he doesn't really like to go too wide there, and I saw him sliding, and my tires were not so good either, so I thought it better not, so leave it in a safer place. So it was today less comps, but I really like this track, so can pass almost everywhere. I didn't have so much confidence now, so didn't try so much, but looked for safer places and tried to make it home.
Well, good luck on finding that podium coming up here. We still have lots of races left. We'll keep an eye on that. Tommy Unhola, your 5th place finisher today. Let's go ahead and talk one last real quick. We're going to talk to Michael Morrison real quick. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Johan?
Yeah, Michael Morrison. Michael, at one point, I think it was lap 5, you were driving through after Pouhon, you have the chicane, and suddenly the floodgates opened, and you saw 2 cars, if I'm correct, just one left and one right of the track. What were you thinking when you saw Unhola and Billy Bob standing there?
Yeah, I got the yellow flag first, and I didn't even see that Tommy actually backed down to a track trying to get going again. They're 7 or 8 seconds ahead, so it's kind of hard for them to really process how close we are and how fast we're coming up on them. And by the time I actually saw it visually, Tommy had stopped at that point, so it was pretty easy for me to back off even more and pull off to the left. Where Ben and Matt had to go way off the track to avoid both of them because there's just no space for them.
Oh, it was good to see that you came through unscathed, and you had quite a good race, starting in P8, finishing in P6. Now, one thing that was apparent in your race whenever we had you on the broadcast was you were battling so beautifully with Benjamin, with Tommy, with several drivers. I was wondering, in your point of view, what makes this track such a good track to battle? Because it was constant that you were fighting with other cars.
It's kind of a mixed bag because there's a lot in this car track combination. There's a lot of corners that you can make attacks on that you normally can't, like the corner after Pujon. But that's what I really struggled with the entire race was getting the power down after the bus stop chicane and I think it's La Source. Yeah, La Source. Because I was using first gear in those corners, and if I got anything wrong, I would instantly lose 3/10 in that corner. And I couldn't hold a position on anyone because I couldn't get any power down, and I couldn't attack anyone into a comb because I couldn't get any power down. So I wasn't really battling with anyone for most of the race, like other than like the last lap, because I couldn't get anywhere close to anyone without a massive mistake on their part.
I see. Well, you had a beautiful battle with Benjamin in the latter part of the race, finishing 2/10 in front of him. You finished P6. Is that a good thing to go away with this weekend? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, considering I was just struggling with getting the power down and using a set, I probably shouldn't have devoted all my practice time to practicing to a point where I didn't launch it sane as a set. Yeah, in the context of how I prepared for a race, I'm really happy with it. I got lucky with a lot of strong drivers having problems that put them behind, but yeah, it was an acceptable race.
Very good. An acceptable race, maybe from your point of view, but we would say that it was a very good race. Thank you for talking with us, Michael. Hope to see you again next week.
Yep. See ya.
Michael Morrison, a veteran of this series. Always fun to talk to him. Okay, let's thank Benjamin Zoko for promoting and organizing the Lotus 49 World Cup Championship. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. That iconic original music that lets your ears alert your eyes you're watching a GSRC production comes courtesy of Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them.
Now, this championship, the Lotus 49 World Cup, returns next week Saturday, March 31st, for round 3 of the championship at Mid-Ohio. GSRC will be there once again to bring you all the action, and we hope you join us. Sliding across your screen now are some of our upcoming broadcasts, so check those out, mark them down in your calendar, and be sure to follow them. If you like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find them all at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media, on Twitter at GSR Channel and on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel.
Finally, on behalf of my booth mate Johan Vanderbilt, our director Joe Peak, our camera artist Dougie Beard, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. And fans, don't fear, the voice of this series, Joe Peak, will be behind the mic come this time next week. Thanks to Joe for letting me fill in. Man, I got a great one to commentate on. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.